This is the first week of my winter break. So I was planning on doing this video over my final critique, and in that video I want to show the work that I did while I'm explaining what my instructors and I talked about during it, but I don't have photos of all of the work that I shown, and the studio was closed this week, so I couldn't get in there to take photos of everything because Matt and Magda were setting up for the Christmas party, which we just had, and it was phenomenal. And they just decked the studio out, and just it's so gorgeous, and the way that they also present the work is really cool, so it's nice to show friends and family the studio. And so here's some of the shots from it of the food table, and there was just so much stuff. It looked beautiful, like a still life in and of itself. And they had cracked open pomegranates and really big fat grapes just littering the food tables, and it definitely makes me want to in the future do a painting of a feast or something like that. I think that would be really fun. And then here's me in front of my Solomon J. Solomon master copy, and for the Christmas party I got it up, I think, to a nice state for people to see it, but it's definitely not done and it's a work in progress. And so over my winter break I definitely want to be focusing on this painting. And before I always come up with all these things that I want to do over a break, and it's always way too much that I can get done, that I can't do everything. And like, I wanted to build frames for some other paintings and do some other things, but I think over this winter break I am just going to work on this master copy and see how far I can get it. Probably it might be unrealistic for me to finish it over my winter break, but I'm going to try really hard. And so since the studio has been closed over the winter break, I have been going through a lot of art books that I have. And recently the art museum in Chicago, it had a double discount day. So I hit up the bookstore and got a ton of really cool books. I got this one on Leonardo da Vinci, and it's a really big fat book. And it's by Taschen, which I love this publisher. And they just have so many really nice detail shots, and it's all of his paintings, but they also have some drawings as well. Yeah, really, really great detail shots. And one of my favorite things in this book is this drawing, which is actually not done by Da Vinci. It's a master copy of a Da Vinci, but it's done by Rubens. And oh man, I love just the tonal quality across this drawing. It makes me, when I plan out future compositions, especially complicated ones, if I can do something like this where it looks like it's all done mostly charcoal and white chalk. And I think in the description here they've got listed some other stuff like watercolor and such, but yeah, I love this. I want to do something like this. And I got this book on Rodin, and the publisher of this is Koneman, I think that's how you pronounce it. And I have another Rembrandt book by it, and what I really like about these books is they always put maps in the back of them where they have the artist's work displayed, so you can find it in your country or all over the world, which I think is cool. So they have a lot of good images of his sculptures. And this is, what do I have marked here? I've been messing around with this pose for a painting idea. Bookmark back in. But in the back they also have some of his drawings as well, but it's mostly his sculptures. But I don't think it's complete. I don't think it's all of his sculptures, but it's a really nice selection of them. And this book was an impulse by Camera Work, also by Taschen, and oh my gosh, the images in here are really, really, really gorgeous. I am not the biggest fan of photography, but I really like these images, and I think it might be because they are pretty reminiscent of charcoal drawings or even grisaille paintings, and just the edges in a lot of these are really beautifully diffused, like this model here. So there's just a ton of really cool images. So what I've been doing is I've been going through this book and picking out images that I like. And since the works in here are pretty, it's like the images, like of the model one that I just showed, are kind of lost in an interesting way. But what I'll do is I'll go into my sketchbook and I'll lose the image even more with charcoal and white chalk until maybe you can't even distinguish what it is, and then I can kind of use my imagination and pull out different elements from it and start thinking of my own images that are inspired off of some of the photographs in here. And lastly, I got this, The Painter's Secret Geometry, which I haven't started reading this yet, but I'm really excited to, especially as I'm coming up with my own compositions for paintings once I graduate Ravenswood. So I don't know if this book is good or not, but it definitely seemed really interesting. The thing that really sold me on it was the contents page. Here we are, where it talks about the musical consonances, and that's something that I don't know how I would really relate music with composition, visual composition, but I think there's a tie there, and I want to explore that more. And I think I'm also interested in that as well because my brother's a music composer, so that would just be cool to see if I can find how it could, music composition and then visual composition could relate to each other. And so I've been going through these books and other books that I have, and they're giving me some really interesting ideas for paintings that I want to do in the future when I'm done at Ravenswood and making my own work. And so there's this one that I can use as an example of, I have this painting that I want to do where I've come up with the theme of it or the idea, and then I find the image after it. So I wanted to be doing something with the three fates, and you know, the three fates, like one is spinning thread, the other one is measuring it, and then another one is weaving a tapestry of someone's life. And so I wanted to have the three fates doing that, and the tapestry that's being woven by one of the fates is the night sky. And then there is a person, which I view it as a woman, and she is the mortal, and it's her life, the tapestry of the night skies of her life. And what she's doing is she has gold thread or whatever color thread, but she's connecting stars that are on her tapestry of the night sky and making constellations out of them. And so that's the idea that I've had, and I've had this idea for about a year, and I've come up with a lot of different ways that I can show that in an image. And so for the composition, it first started out with something really linear. So a long canvas, and they had the three fates doing their work, and then it would follow and hit with the girl that's sewing on the tapestry, the constellations. And I didn't really like that composition so much. I didn't think it was that engaging, really. So I tried to flip everything around a lot so I can make a lot of the same theme and idea, but showing it in a lot of different ways. And so what I was doing was I tried to then get away from just that straight linear way of doing it with and I guess I was changing the plane that gravity sits on, so having it go across like that. And then I had one idea where the fates were kind of in the sky, and then there was the tapestry, and the fates are working down on the tapestry, and then the girl is underneath it and she's lifted up sewing on it. And then I had a lot of other different ideas, but then I got stuck on this circular composition, because if the tapestry could be done not just as something that's like a rectangle, but that's a circular tapestry, I like that idea a lot because it kind of nods to the circle of life, and also how when you're born, you rely on a lot of people to feed you and take care of you. And, you know, as you're going around your life, it kind of ends in the same way if you're lucky enough to be an old age and then you kind of need to rely on people to take care of you that way. So I like that idea of time just not going as a linear way, but kind of being bent and coming back and connecting in and on itself. So then I had an idea of you looking down on the circular tapestry and the viewers above looking down, and then I had like a circular thing. The plane of the tapestry was like tilted, and the fates were up here working on it, and the girls down here. But then what I landed on was having the circular thing, and that's what everyone is rested on the tapestry because it's the ground plane, and it's more of like a angle, like you're not looking down on them, but you're looking more straight onto them. And so here's a sketchbook page, and this is just how I can't find where I originally was doing more the linear compositions and the different iterations of that is in a different sketchbook, and I can't find the page in it. But so this is what I have, and it's just scribbling, basically trying to figure out different ideas for it. But then so once I got that composition that I liked the view of it, or the angle of it, or whatever you want to call it. So what I did was I wanted to start to do a value structure. And I have this old Rembrandt book, and what I really like about it is the back has a catalog of all of his works like this, and they're small and they're black and white, and they're also really simplified as well, like maybe not the highest of quality, which I actually really like that, because what I've been doing is I'm wearing contacts right now, but normally I wear glasses, and I take my glasses off and I would kind of be back a little bit from the book and look at these thumbnails and just flip through it and see what I like about different value structures in his different paintings, and see if I can be applying my idea to any of these. And so I found one that I really liked, which is, let's see, this one right here. I like it. Kind of has this circular plane, how it loops around there, and it has this glowing brightness right up here that's bursting up. So what I did was I cropped that image down and then started playing around with that, and I came up with this right here, and I really, really like this composition a lot. I'm super excited about it. So we have the fates here, and they're paused and looking at her as she's, you know, sewing the constellations, and so the tapestry is going around like that. And I'm, man, this is gonna be really cool. I'm very excited about it. So that's one way that I've kind of been figuring out compositions, because I don't really totally know, I don't know what I'm doing with making images. So just, this is one way that I'm doing it, where I think of the theme first, and then I like try and find the image later. And then I have another one that I might talk about later, where I found the image first and then pulled out this theme and then broke the theme down and like moved it. I don't know. It's been like a it's just been different ways that I've been working this out. So I wonder when I'm actually making like a lot more painting compositions, if maybe I'll find one way that works really well for me, or if it'll always just kind of be probably finding the image in a lot of different ways. And then towards the end of the week, I visited Portland for the first time, and that city is really cool and really beautiful. And my favorite thing about it was Powell's bookstore, which, if you have never been to Portland and if you're going, go to Powell's bookstore if you like books. It's I think they have 3 different ones, but they have a really huge one, which is the one that I went to, which is an entire city block, and it's 4 stories high, and they give you a map of the bookstore when you walk in. And so I picked up some art books, and I got this one on Rossetti. and the images in it are really nice. I've flipped through it, but I haven't really gotten to study it too much or read about him yet. But it's really nice. His really beautiful paintings. A critique that I do have on him, though, is that he paints the same girl a whole lot, the one on the front cover. And though his paintings are really beautiful, it's the women and, well, the men too, I think, as well. But they all seem like dolls in a painting. Like, this is a perfect example where it doesn't seem like she has a brain in her head. They're always kind of looking far off, and they don't really have any facial expressions. They're just posed, usually in beautiful clothing in a beautiful space, which is still really nice to look at for sure. But there is kind of a lack of humanness in the models as well. But yeah, but his work is still beautiful all the same. And I ended up getting 2 books on Rubens, which I really like Rubens. I've kind of rediscovered him, and I really like his work. So this is only from works from the Soviet Museum, but they have a lot of really great details of his work. And again, I haven't had a chance yet to read through it yet. I've just been looking at the images first. But yeah, the detail work in this book is really great, so you can really see the brushstrokes. And that's something that I really like about Rubens, is his brushwork. It just is like, I just want to eat his paintings. They're just like scrumptious brushstrokes. Yeah, this book's got a lot of great details too. So, oh, I guess when I'm not working on my master copy of Solomon J. Solomon, I'm probably just going to be going through and reading all these art books that I got.